Hey, welcome to today's, what is this, live stream? The topic is how to overcome, not really, how to be bigger than your circumstances. That's really what I'm talking about here. And it starts with a really interesting story. I knew I was gonna live stream today, but I didn't really have a topic. Came downstairs around 8:30 this morning and was a little surprised. My entire kitchen was invaded by ants. So they were swarming. They were all over my kitchen countertop. They were all over, the living room floor, not as much as in the dining room floor actually, but they were just all over basically. And I was not a happy camper. It screwed up my entire morning because obviously who wakes up in the morning thinking, I'm gonna have to fight ants this morning. And I happen to be someone who is not a particular fan of ants or any type of bug in general. So this morning wasn't the most pleasant experience. However, I sprung into action, I took care of it, and decided this would be a great topic to do a live stream on, because as simple as it was for me to deal with the situation with the ants, when I thought about it, like there was no other alternative but for me to rise to the occasion. Although I can't stand ants, they typically freak me out, they make me feel itchy. But I couldn't not deal with the situation. What was I going to do? Call an exterminator? How long would they have taken to get here? And how bigger could the problem have become? So I sprung into action. And it made me think about all the other times when I decided to be bigger than my circumstance. When I decided in that moment, even if it was something that would normally frighten me or normally intimidate me, that I would just get it done anyway. And so I wanted to share with you some of the things that, like, when I go back and I look back on what allowed me to do that, so that you know how to do that for yourself whenever you're faced with anything, big or small, that you can remember how to be bigger than the actual circumstance to get what it is that you desire, right? And so obviously my desire today was to rid myself of this ant problem so I could feed myself, I could feed my dog, and all kinds of things. So a couple of things came up for me. Number one, last night I went out and I had an awesome time. So that allowed me to be more calm when I was faced with the problem of the ants, right? I didn't freak out. I didn't go, oh, woe is me, blah, 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 blah. It was just, how do I solve this problem now, right? So that was number one. So I would recommend that you try to find some balance. Oftentimes, we can feel like our circumstances are bigger than us when we don't have enough balance in our lives, when we feel overwhelmed with problems, but not experiencing enough of the good stuff. So you want to make sure that you incorporate more fun into your life so that you have the emotional capacity to be able to take on challenges when they do arise, right? So that's number one. Have more fun. You can also consider that, self-care. What are you doing for self-care on a regular basis? By the way, I have a client who is an expert at self-care. Her name is Dr. Joy, and she's in my group. So if you're ever wanting to know, like, how to put together a self-care practice for yourself, please reach out to her. The second thing that you want to do is have a mindset practice. So we talked about this in my group, Powerhouse Entrepreneurs, yesterday in reference to what's more important, strategy or mindset, right? And it was a very interesting discussion. And most people said mindset, and a couple people said strategy or said both. I personally believe that mindset is more important than strategy because, if you don't have the right mindset, it doesn't matter what strategy you implement, you're not going to get the results. So you want to make sure that you have a mindset practice. So this is how you're going to be able to have the resolve to find a solution to your problem in the moment, okay? So that's important. Number three, you want to practice being bigger than your circumstance, right? If you are practiced at every time something scares you or every time something feels bigger than you, if you're practiced at backing down from it, if you're practiced at telling yourself, I can't handle it, what are you going to do the next time something seems bigger than you, right? You're going to back down from it because you're practiced at doing that. So practice in every opportunity that you can to be bigger than your circumstance, to rise to the occasion, right? Another thing is you want to have a clear vision. If you don't have something that is pulling you through the fear, pulling you through the circumstance that you might be facing that you don't want to deal with, then you're not going to do it. So it's very important that you have a very clear vision that you're passionate about, something that lights your soul on fire, right? Because if you don't, guess what? right? You're not going to be willing to rise to the occasion. You're not going to be willing to, confront that challenge and overcome it, right? Or that circumstance and overcome it. The next thing is you want to look for the lesson. So I always look for the lesson in my experiences, even if I can't find them in the immediate moment. For example, yesterday I had 2 unpleasant experiences, and in that moment I could not find the lesson. But this morning I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm so blessed because I saw the lesson in those experiences. So look for the lesson. So for example, with me today and the ants, I fucking hate ants like nobody's business. But I got over that today, right? And I just handled the problem. And then it gave me content to share with you, some teaching that I could share with you. So there was a lesson in there. And I think the lesson also was for me to remember, like, what are the things that I do to allow myself to be bigger than my circumstances, right? So there's a lesson there. And so you can find lessons in whenever you're confronted with circumstances that don't feel pleasant, that feel too big for you, any of that kind of stuff, right? Remember that they're never bigger than you, by the way. And the last thing is, whenever you're faced with a challenge that seems big or circumstance that seems big, remember all of the other times that you've overcome things in the past that felt too big for you, right? That felt challenging, that felt intimidating, that felt difficult, and you overcame those things. So do yourself a favor and remember those moments, okay? So, hey, Emily, how are you? That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Let me do a quick recap in terms of how to be bigger than your circumstances. Number 1, and this is in no specific order, just a couple of things that I wrote down to share with you today. Number 1, you want to have more fun, right? When you are having fun, then it acts as a counterbalance to the challenges that you're facing, right? If you're feeling like you're overwhelmed with challenges, like it's challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge, then you need more balance in your life. You need to have things in your life that you actually enjoy, because otherwise you're just going to get fatigued. You're going to get overwhelmed by the challenge, and you're not going to feel that you can overcome it, because there won't even really feel like a reason to overcome it, because there's no fun to be had on the other side of it, right? The second thing is you want to have a mindset practice. So having a mindset practice allows you to be able to recover faster, right? Not get taken out by the circumstance, but literally in that moment think, oh, I know how to find a solution. Even if you don't immediately know what the solution is, you are focused on finding that solution, right? The third thing is practice. You know, whenever you are faced with things that or circumstances that feel too big, you want to practice being bigger than those circumstances, meaning take an action that allows you to solve the problem. Because if you practice the opposite, then you will always think, I shouldn't say always, but you will repeatedly think that you are too small compared to your circumstances, and that will become practiced behavior, which will not allow you to grow past your circumstances. The fourth thing is you want to have a clear vision. You must know what it is that you desire, because if you don't have a clear vision, you will not be motivated, right? You'll see the challenge and you'll be like, oh, it's too big, right? But when you have a really big vision, you're like, I don't give a fuck how big this challenge is. I'm going to get what it is that I say that I want, right? The fifth thing is always look for the lessons. Number 6, remember other times when you've had challenges or circumstances that felt big and you were able to overcome them anyway. And excuse me, I'm like sweating to death. I need to take a shower because I literally spent 3 hours cleaning, getting rid of the ants and then disinfecting the place after that. So I think I'm due for a shower and a nice lunch. So I'm going to leave it here. If you guys have any questions, please put the questions or comments in the comment section, and I will be sure to get back to you later on. And if you would like some support with growing your business, with creating the kind of packages that light you up, and then attracting the kind of clients that you really feel excited to work with, reach out to me at DesireeStafford.com/session to get yourself signed up for a free chat with me. And until we speak again, I hope you're up to big, bold things in your life and in your business. Take care.